Morning. Welcome to Thinking is Contagious. Wanted to talk a little bit today. Last night, uh, Joe Biden accepted the Democratic nomination for President of the United States, and he gave a speech. It was pretty clean of flubs or senior moments, which I guess some people were expecting, but it was a typical rah-rah, devoid of any substance, any policy, anything concrete. He was Joe Biden with a camera. He was Joe Biden alone still, without anyone uh, to back and forth with. It was scripted. It was practiced. It was okay. It was plain vanilla. But it was ironic that it touched on issues of unity and decency and the light, and how America has been uh, clouded with this darkness under Donald Trump. The facts are, you could probably believe this speech a little bit if you didn't reference the fact that for 8 years, this 45-year plus veteran of the swamp was the second most powerful man in the world as the vice president to Barack Obama, the most corrupt president that we've ever had. Uh, it would be a lot easier to believe this speech if we didn't understand that much of the problem that has led this country to the issues that we currently face, uh, the China supply chain issues that have so impacted us during this pandemic, were not furthered along by the Obama-Biden administration, their globalism, their uh, facilitating of exporting the American dream to China, to a country that hates us. It would be much easier to believe the decency and the honesty part if your family had not, in Joe Biden's case, benefited from about $1.5 billion worth of fees from the Chinese to Hunter Biden. It would be much easier to believe this speech from someone relatively new to Washington, not someone who has resided in the swamp for 47, 45 years. Joe Biden is not the answer. And if you believe that he is the answer, then the question to ask is, if he's the answer, why didn't he implement the answer during his 8 years as Vice President of the United States? Because certainly, as I've stated before, if you want to take credit for the economy of Donald Trump, which is erroneous, but let's go on their premise, Obama, Biden. If they want to take credit for some of this Trump economy, then you certainly have to take credit for the problems that you say are so rampant in this country now about divisiveness and race and inequalities and lack of opportunity. How come you didn't do anything about that for 8 years? And by the way, why didn't you do anything about that for 45 years? Because you have no voting record. You have absolutely no accomplishments, Joe Biden. And Obama's accomplishments are exactly what we talked about: exporting the American dream, shaming America in the eyes of the world, signing bad trade deals, putting America on the back burner, and sending money to Iran. Uh, it's deplorable, truly deplorable. The word needs to be used with the conduct of the 8 years of the Obama-Biden administration. And for them to come now and tell the American people, hey, you can trust us, we're going to help you, you had your shot. I'm going to switch pages now to something that I was looking at. Back in the day, I remember Michael Avenatti. And I've been looking at some video of middle of the year in 2019 through the end of 2019. And when Avenatti came out with Stormy Daniels and they went after Trump, and I remember the euphoria in the media. Somebody's going to finally get Trump. And I saw one video in particular. You got to see this. It was, I think it's called "Follow the Money," and there's she's either MSNBC or CNBC. I don't even know her name. It's one of the hosts there. She's really a big Trump fan. Facetiously, I say that. I think her name is Stephanie Rule. Anyway, I do remember she had a Princeton University professor. His name was Eddie Glaude. And Eddie Glaude is just giddy in this interview. He is just giddy talking about Michael Avenatti. Avenatti, the lawyer for Stormy Daniels. He is like a kid on Christmas morning that found a puppy under the Christmas tree. And you see the host of the show, I'm sorry, her name escapes me. It's not important, but she's got this look on her face, like this smile, like this just excitement. And he's saying, Avenatti's a beast. Avenatti's a beast. And you hear in the background, he is a beast. He is a beast. It's just hilarious. You have to really see this. And then on The View, it's a show that's got like 5 or 6 women on it that are in love. They wish that that Donald Trump was their husband. They're in love with Trump because that's all they talk about. And there's one woman who, I don't know her name. She's red hair, glasses, kind of heavy set. And she's like infatuated with Donald Trump, so much so that her husband is the other man in her life. She's there saying about Avenatti's on the show with her, and she's saying, oh, he's got a higher calling than a lawyer. He's just so incredible. It's a higher calling. And somebody says in the background, yeah, like a priest or the Pope. And and then you have on The View as well, she's a Republican, actually. A Republican, Anna Navarro, but she's never Trump, anybody but Trump. And she's telling Avenatti how she admires how great he is. And it's incredible. And then you turn the page, just a few short months later, Stormy Daniels and Avenatti on the outs. Avenatti's got to sue her. Avenatti's indicted. Funny that he's indicted, and what he's eventually found guilty of is extortion. He extorted Nike. And isn't that ironic that someone who's bringing all these claims against Trump with Stormy Daniels, and by the way, the same guy who also then took up the case with Miss Ford against Kavanaugh, and supposedly these other witnesses. So he's got two claims against political leaders, one of them being the President of the United States, the other a Supreme Court nominee, and of these women who claim that 35 years ago in Kavanaugh's case, he was the leader of some ring that would spike women's drinks in high school in order to rape them with absolutely no proof other than hearsay. And the guy's found guilty of extorting Nike, extortion, okay? A guy who ended up broke. He was represented by a public defender. This is the guy who has a higher calling. This is the beast of the media. How come none of that? How come that is buried? I invite you to look at that. I invite you to review that. I invite you to go Google the Princeton University professor, Eddie Glaude, on Follow the Money. And I don't know if Follow the Money is CNBC or MSNBC. I invite you to listen to that interview and look at the faces of the host, who again, her name escapes me, and Glaude, and he's a beast, and how giddy they are, and how they hung their hats on this being This is how we're going to get Trump. This is the guy who's going to help us get Trump. We couldn't do it. We couldn't do it with Ukraine. We couldn't do it with FBI. We couldn't do it with the impeachment. We couldn't. This is how we're going to get him. And this is who they hung their hat on. You know, it reminds me of, you know, the desperate. They're so desperate. It's like, and I keep going back to the stock market because it's something that I like, but it's like the investor that invests in a penny stock and all of a sudden sees that it goes up a little bit, and one day it starts to gain momentum, and they throw everything in on it, all that they have on it, and they bet big, and they're giddy, and they're going to be millionaires and billionaires because this stock's going to go through the roof, and then boom, they pull the rug out from them, and they lose 80% of their investment. That's how the Democrats, that's how the liberals, that's how the media is. They're so desperate to get Trump that they double and triple and quadruple down on any little trickle of hope in order to get him. They're so desperate because they know there's no grounds. Final point that we need to understand, this attack against Trump about the economy, sorry, people, open your eyes. Open your eyes. Where was the economy in February of this year? It was booming. Booming. Okay? This economy was brought to its knees by the China flu. China flu. That's what brought it to its knees. There is no one that has done more for the economy, for minorities, for black home ownership, for Latino home ownership, for wages for minorities, for employment levels for minority. No one, even Don Peebles, the Democrat, said the same thing than Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been a boon for your pocketbook, for your 401k, for your kids, for your grandkids. Let him run the economy again. Let him run the economy again. Joe Biden had a chance to run the economy. You saw what happened. Nothing. Status quo. Treading water. America's only way back is through America first. All these narratives that Biden's throwing out there now about America and the Green Deal and energy, clean energy and all, these are all initiatives that Donald Trump has undertaken. They're well in the pipeline. We need to keep consistent. We need to leave the man in charge. Let Trump do his magic. Let him bring the economy back. Let him build up your 401ks. Let him build up America. Let him build up our supply chain. Let him eliminate China from the equation. Let him eliminate the dependence on foreign countries for this country's basic needs. We are at a crossroads. No one can erase the fact that for 45 years, Joe Biden has been in Washington. And look at his record. I challenge you to look at his record and tell me why you would ever vote for a man like this. And if they get around to debates, which I certainly hope they do, if there are debates, you will see the man exposed for the shell of a human being that he is at this point. Unfortunately, it's not anything that I take any kind of joy in. He is not competent. He is not physically nor mentally competent to be the president of the United States. And when you decide, if you think you're going to vote for Joe Biden, you are voting for Kamala Harris, and you are voting for a far left agenda of socialism, anarchy, lawlessness, and it would be the biggest mistake that you can make. Of the choices that are on the table now, Biden, Harris is the worst one. Thank you. Have a good day.